I'm planting a tree to teach me to gather strength from my deepest roots. What a thought-provoking visual picture. This is a quote from Andrea Cole Jones' 2008 book called The Wish Trees. It's a book that has at its roots the goal of inspiring each of us to make the world a better place. And it's also an example of one way to begin a speech. Introductions and conclusions. We need to discover the importance of each. In presenting your speech, two of the most important moments are when you begin your speech and when you conclude your remarks. If you are able to capture the minds of your audience immediately when you begin, you have a chance of sharing the important information that you've prepared. When you conclude, it is possible the listeners might have strayed in their attention. So you want to again capture their focus for a brief moment to remind them of what you have said, to give them that takeaway message. After all, aren't you speaking for a reason? Don't you want your audience to clearly understand your message and remember it? Let's tackle introductions first. Your introduction needs to capture the audience. When you stand up to speak, the individual members of your audience might all be thinking a wide variety of thoughts. Whatever you do right at the start should act as a funnel, collecting all of those minds and funneling those minds to a singular focus, your message. So it's important to remind ourselves that there are some things that do not accomplish this at all. When you start a presentation, don't begin with your name, an apology, the journey you took to figure out what to speak on, or an excuse. Instead, make that first sentence the best sentence of the speech and deliver it the best of any sentence in the speech. Here are some excellent ways to start a speech. A startling or interesting fact, a quote, a reference to an event that occurred in history on the date of your speech that relates to what you're going to say. A brief story, meaning 15 to 20 seconds. A set of rhetorical questions or the statement, imagine with me for a moment. That first line is when you have a chance to capture your audience's attention. But that is just the first of 4 things you need in an introduction. The second item is a statement of what your speech is about. The third item is an explanation to your audience of why you are qualified to speak about this issue. They want to know why they should listen to you on this topic. And the fourth, you need to have a very clear blueprint or preview sentence. This is letting your listeners know exactly the path you'll be taking. It might sound something like, today I'm going to explain that the introduction needs to capture the audience's attention and the conclusion should capture the takeaway message for the audience. So the introduction has 4 essential parts. Now let's learn the 2 essential parts of the conclusion. The conclusion, as we just said, has as its primary purpose to capture the takeaway message for the audience. Let's divide our discussion about the conclusion into 2 parts. First, I want to discuss how to transition into the conclusion. When giving a speech, it's all about giving your audience clues that you're starting a new section. That's why I stress the importance of signposts or transitions. So, when starting a conclusion, you should pause just a second and catch your breath. The change of pace is a signal. Then you might begin your conclusion in a variety of ways. One great way is to go back to how you began your speech. I started this video with a quote, with the proper oral citation. And so I might repeat it here. This is bringing your speech full circle. Or you might verbally signal by using a phrase like, so how can we tie these thoughts all together? Second, I want to tell you the two things essential for conclusion. You need to give us that takeaway message, a clear review of the 2 or 3 main points you covered, and do it in one sentence. It's like you just packed a sack lunch for them to take with them to eat on later. And second, have a good wrap-up sentence that can creatively remind your audience of your central idea. Your conclusion, like your introduction, should be short and to the point. The body of the speech is where the meat is. And one last point about the conclusion, don't introduce new information. Your job here is to capture the takeaway message for the audience. Make your introduction and your conclusion the very best part of your speech and capture your audience. See you in the next video.